Hey there, and welcome to Authentically ADHD. I'm your host, Carmen, and I am so glad that you're here. This is a podcast where we get real about ADHD. No filters, no judgment, a safe space to explore and learn and grow. If you're here, it's because you want to take a deep dive into the world of ADHD, and trust me, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I start this podcast? Well, in true ADHD fashion, it all started very impulsively. One day, I thought, I should start a podcast, especially with all this paperwork that I have and all these notes that I have trying to understand my own ADHD. And the next thing I knew, here I am, sharing thoughts with you. I don't know, 200, 100 episodes later? I don't know. I lose track of time. I'm time blind. Are you? Anyways, when you have ADHD, ideas come fast, and sometimes you just gotta roll with them. Honestly, this podcast was born out of my passion for understanding ADHD in a deeper way with the newest research. You see, pills don't teach skills. That's something I've learned over the years. Medication can help, and it's a great tool to use, but true growth, that comes from knowledge, understanding, and actionable skills. And so that's what I want to share with you. Research-backed insights, practical tips, and lived experiences of someone who's been there. Now, a little bit about me. I'm not just a host of this podcast. I'm also an early childhood special education teacher, which means I've spent years understanding how children learn, grow, and thrive in ways that work for them, especially when they're neurodiverse. And I'm also a certified life and performance coach, guiding people to unlock their full potential in both their personal and professional lives. But here's the thing that makes me a little different. I'm also a late diagnosed ADHDer. And on top of that, I self-identify as being on the autism spectrum. So when I talk about ADHD, it's not just from a professional perspective, it's from lived experience, because I get it. I know what it's like to feel like your brain is running at full speed while everyone else is moving at a different pace, and you have instructions that are in Japanese and upside down, and everybody else got them in their own language. Throughout this podcast, I'll share all kinds of insights about navigating life with ADHD, from the everyday struggles to the strengths that we can celebrate. We'll talk about everything from time management to relationships to self-advocacy, and all about how to live authentically in a world that often asks us to be anything but. Whether you have ADHD yourself or you want to understand it better, you are in the right place. So, let's get started. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focused for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. You're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/authenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I am so glad that you pressed play on this episode today because this topic, personally, when I learned it, I found out that it was the work that I never knew I was missing. It was the work that I never knew I needed. So it's given me this skill that we're going to talk about today. If you haven't guessed already by the title, it's self-trust. But this skill of self-trust has given me so much more access to my authentic self. It's given me so much more access to the tools that I use every day and that keep me supported. So today, we're diving into a big and messy, but very important topic, and that is self-trust. Or, as I like to call it, the tangled web of self-trust. Now, if you just chuckled nervously or sighed self-trust, believe me, you're in the right place. Stick around with me for this episode and we will untangle this web together with a healthy dose of honesty, humor, and some hope. So, self-trust. Raise your hand if you've ever said something like, I can never trust myself to do anything right. I'm raising mine really high with you, by the way, if you're raising yours. Maybe you promised yourself that you'd start on a project well before the deadline, only to find yourself pulling that all-nighter once again. Or you swore that you wouldn't forget your friend's birthday this time, and then, whoops, you did it again. Wow, that sounded like a Britney Spears lyric. Anyways, if any of that rings a bell, you are so not alone. In fact, one ADHD coach bluntly observed that this truth about ADHD and self-trust, this is it doesn't exist. ADHD adults don't trust themselves at all. Our self-concept begins to erode pretty early in life. Ouch, right? That was a little bit hurtful, but also a little bit meta, so I'm going to read it one more time. This is the truth about ADHD and self-trust. It doesn't exist. ADHD adults do not trust themselves at all. Our self-concept begins to erode pretty early in life. Now, that sounds harsh, but for many of us, it feels true. Our confidence in ourselves got pretty banged up over the years. I want to start with a little story here. Picture late diagnosed me a few years back before I knew I had ADHD. Every morning, I'd pep talk myself. Today, I'm going to get everything on my to-do list done. I got this. And every evening, I'd go to bed thinking, I screwed it all up again. What is wrong with me? I remember once triple booking my Saturday because past me didn't trust future me to actually remember my plans or even write them down. So I figured at least one of these events I'd flake on, so it's really better to have backups. Yeah, my self-trust was basically non-existent, and the less I trusted myself, the more anxious, overbooked, and overwhelmed I became. It's literally a vicious cycle. So friends, it's time to break that cycle. Today we're going to cover a lot. We're going to bust a few common myths about self-trust. Spoiler, it's not about being perfect. And we are going to define what real self-trust means, including a quote that changed the way I think about it. We will explore why so many of us with ADHD struggle with self-trust. We'll dip into a little neuroscience and psychology, including some internal family systems theory and insights from my ADHD coach, Kristen Carter. Some of the things that I've learned in Focused and some of the things that have actually come from her podcast. Check it out if you haven't already. It's called I Have ADHD by Kristen Carter. It's probably one of the most popular ADHD podcasts out there. But, we all have our tastes. And she's my coach. So a lot of the things that come on here, like I say in my little Focused ad, if you want to join, with money off, getting me money off, you get money off, all that I have in the middle, that's where I get a lot of these tips and this information. So, of course, we're going to get practical, and I'm going to share 7 self-trust strategies, both practical hacks and mindset shifts, to help you rebuild your self-trust as an ADHD adult. Plus, I have gotten back into making guides, you guys. So I have a 7 reflection prompt guide for you in the show notes that you can use. So are you ready to dig into your own self-trust story? All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about what a lot of us think self-trust means. I used to imagine that self-trust was basically me turning into some magically responsible and never make a mistake unicorn. Like if I truly trusted myself, I'd do everything right. I'd make all the right decisions, the perfect choices. I'd follow through on all my plans flawlessly and probably have an alphabetized rack of spices while I was at it, right? Because obviously I totally tripped up on my words there, because obviously trusted self me has that all together, right? Let me ask you, do you follow through on everything that you plan? Do you do everything right? Do you always make the perfect choices? Are your spice racks alphabetized? I laugh because it's really funny to think about a person with ADHD having an alphabetized spice rack. And I'm not shaming anybody who has something that's alphabetized like that, but I just find it's very rare if you find somebody that has ADHD. And I'm not talking ADHD or ADHD with OCD or whatever. I'm just talking a very, kind of disorganized ADHD or having anything alphabetized. It just sounds very funny to me. But if you answered no to any of those questions, obviously the self-trust isn't there. Turns out this idea is everywhere. We ADHDers often define self-trust as I believe I'll do everything perfectly and I'll stick to every commitment no matter what. The words self-trust do not mean I trust myself that I'm going to finish what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to say. In the words of ADHD coach Kristen Carter, unlike what we think self-trust means, I believe that all my choices are going to be perfect, and I believe that I will follow through on everything I say I'm going to do. Sound familiar? We basically equate trusting ourselves with never messing up. And if you're anything like me, or most people, really, ADHD or not, that bar of expectation is like unrealistically, magically way too high. No wonder we feel like we can't trust ourselves. By that definition, literally nobody on the planet would be able to. So let's bust that myth right now. Self-trust is not, I trust myself to always do the right thing and be perfect and follow through 100% of the time. Nope. That common misconception is a recipe for self-loathing, especially for those of us with ADHD who might leave a trail of unfinished projects and oopsies in our wake. Let me tell you, the whole I trust myself to always do the right thing and be perfect and follow through 100% of the time, it's actually the opposite of self-trust. It's perfectionism, so it's self-harming. You telling yourself that self-trust means that you're always going to do the right thing and be perfect and follow through 100% of the time is being a perfectionist, and you're harming yourself by thinking that. So if you've been thinking, I can't trust myself because I keep dropping the ball, you're operating under the wrong definition of self-trust. And it's time to rewrite that definition. So, if self-trust isn't about perfection, then what is it? I am so glad you asked. This redefinition was a game changer for me, and I really am excited to share it with you. One of my favorite quotes on this comes again from Kristen Carter because she is just the best. She reframed it beautifully. She explains that real self-trust sounds more like this. Self-trust is not, I trust myself to do the right thing and follow through and be perfect. Self-trust is, I believe that my experience is real and valid. I know that I will take care of myself in this process, and I will figure out how to move forward no matter what. Let that sink in for a second. Did you catch the difference? Instead of trusting yourself to be perfect, it's about trusting yourself to handle it when things aren't perfect. It's saying, I trust that my feelings and needs are valid, even if others have dismissed them or are actively dismissing them now. I trust that I will be there for me and that I will have my own back. And I trust that no matter what happens, I can find a way to move forward. To me, that sounds so much more kind and way more realistic, doesn't it? Honestly, when I first heard that, I was like, yes, I want that. I want to feel that solid in my life, even when life is messy. Think of it this way. Trusting yourself isn't about believing that you're never going to leave the house without your shirt. Like, you're never going to leave the house with your shirt on backwards, because let's face it, on some rushed mornings, we probably will. It's about knowing that if you do walk out with a wardrobe malfunction, that you're not going to beat yourself up all day, or you're not going to shame yourself or feel embarrassed. I mean, you might feel a little embarrassed, but you're going to laugh it off. Maybe ask a friend for a hoodie and keep going. Real self-trust is believing that you can handle it, that you can handle you with all your ADHD quirks and brilliant chaos. So quick recap about that, because I know it's a lot of confusing words. Self-trust does not equal perfectionism. Self-trust equals knowing you'll take care of yourself come what may. It's an inner confidence that you'll experience matters. It's an inner confidence that your experience matters and you will figure out things eventually. That's the foundation that we're trying to build here. Now, you might be wondering, why the heck didn't this develop in the first place? So, this is a childhood type story. So now that we know what it really means, a question that might be popping up, or that usually does pop up, is then, okay, why don't we already have it? Where did things go sideways? To answer that, we need to take a quick trip back in time, back to childhood, and those awkward teenage years. Yes, we're going back there, but just for a second, okay? No zits, I promise. Don't worry, we won't take too long, but it's important to understand how self-trust is supposed to develop. According to psychology, self-trust is a developmental process. Ideally, it starts when we're little. Think about it. As kids, we're naturally looking to our caregivers, parents, teachers, to figure out if the world is safe and if we are okay. If those caregivers constantly validate our feelings and our needs and allow us some autonomy, like letting us try things on our own, but safely, and support us when we fail without shame, we start to build this internal sense that, hey, my feelings are real, my experience is valid, I can rely on myself, and I am totally capable. According to my research, caregivers who validate a child's emotions and perceptions helps them to build autonomy and encourage resilience without shaming mistakes. Those are effectively building that child's self-trust throughout childhood. It's like laying down the bricks of a sturdy self-esteem. Each time your experience is honored, yes, I hear you're upset, or I believe you when you say you are trying, another brick is laid and mortared. Over childhood and adolescence, those bricks ideally stack up and solidly form a wall of I trust myself, And it's the actual I trust myself, not the one that's perfectionism. It's that I believe that I can take care of me. But what happens if those bricks didn't get laid properly? What if instead of validation and support, you got criticism, invalidation, or excessive control? That's the reality for a lot of ADHD kids. In fact, research shows that children with ADHD often face more trauma. They face more excessive criticism and more attacks on their self-esteem than their neurotypical peers. I know, trauma is a big word, and a lot of people, especially people with ADHD or who are neurodiverse, they don't believe that they have trauma. It's a big word, but little t traumas, like constantly being scolded for not being good enough, can seriously hurt a kid's self-image. You might even think, like, okay, well, my parents, like, they whacked me around a bit as a kid, and I still, quote-unquote, trust myself. You did something else to build that, because when a parent or a caregiver does not provide that safe enough environment, it's called little t traumas. Those constant feelings of not feeling good enough. If you grew up hearing, why are you so lazy? Why are you never paying attention? Why can't you just behave? Why aren't you trying hard enough? You will never live up to your potential if you don't try a little harder. Or always feeling like the problem child, then your self-trust was likely chipped away instead of being built up, instead of bricks. You got, well, cracks in those bricks. Now, this doesn't always have to be with family. This can also happen like, okay, you can develop a great sense of self-trust with your family growing up in childhood, but then you hit a relationship that erodes it, or you hit school years that are really hard, and those erode it, because in a relationship or at school, those people are people that you bond to, so that can also erode your self-trust. Let me share a personal example. When I was about 10, my mind was always drifting, daydreaming about anything and everything instead of paying attention. One day, and this is a teacher I really loved and appreciate to this day, but she literally had to slam her desk so hard to snap me out of my wandering thoughts that my books rattled across the room. Kids gasped, and I jolted upright, blinking at everyone staring at me. After that, she called me out in front of the whole class. Earth to Carmen, hello, as if I was choosing to float off into space. I felt those eyes zero in on me, and I just sank lower in my seat. The unspoken message I absorbed was, you're so spaced out that nobody can even count on you. Looking back, I see that I was an undiagnosed ADHD kid, that my teacher had no ill intent, and that my brain genuinely struggled to stay grounded. It was not me being a daydreaming troublemaker. But no one said, hey, I know you're trying, let's find a strategy to help you focus. She didn't know any better. Instead, I got embarrassment and shame. And shame is like acid to self-trust. It corrodes it fast. So like I said, even if you developed it in childhood, later on in adulthood, that embarrassment and shame is like acid and can really just corrode that already built self-trust really fast. Maybe you can relate to some version of this. Many of us entered adulthood without a sturdy base of self-trust because of our childhood environment, despite our parents doing the best they could with what they had. It didn't explicitly give it to us, or perhaps you did have supportive families or parents but still struggled, and that can happen too, especially if ADHD went undiagnosed. In any case, understanding that it's not your fault is huge. If self-trust wasn't molded or encouraged when you were a kid, of course you struggled with it now. As Kristen Carter put it, if you were never afforded the luxury of self-trust being built for you in your childhood, then you deserve to do that for yourself now, as an adult. Yes, you deserve to build it now. And let me tell you from experience, it's never too late. Okay? In these next couple of segments, we're going to talk about why we sabotage self-trust and a little bit about the psychology around it. And then, of course, we're going to hear some tips and strategies that are backed by research and neuroscience. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Hey there, my ADHD tribe. I have an offer for you. Do you ever feel like you're constantly juggling, but somehow always dropping the ball? You're not alone. We've all been there. I struggle still to manage time, stay organized, and to keep track of the never-ending to-do list. I'm Carmen, and I get it. Trust me, that's why I have created Thriving Authentically with ADHD, Executive Functions and Coping Strategies. It's a course designed to help you take control of your ADHD brain instead of letting it control you. But here's the kicker. It's not just a course. It's a journey. For only $25, you'll get access to about 3 hours of exclusive ADHD-friendly content that breaks down the executive functions in simple terms and explains why your ADHD brain works in the way that it does. And most executive functions, most importantly, it'll teach you practical, research-backed coping strategies that you can start using today. From working memory struggles to time blindness to emotional regulation, we cover it all. Plus, you'll get a workbook in your email packed with interactive exercises to help you reflect on your own ADHD journey, track your progress, and apply what you've learned at your own pace. But that's not all. You also will get 2 personalized coaching sessions where we can dive into your specific challenges and create strategies that work for you. No more one-size-fits-all solutions, just real, authentic, tailored support. And the best part, you get all this for just $25. That's less than a cost of a meal out. Plus, with my proven strategies, you can start improving your executive function skills in no time. Imagine finally understanding your ADHD brain and learning how to thrive and not just survive. Don't wait too long. The spots are limited. Sign up today and let's get started on your journey to thriving authentically with ADHD. Alright, so now that we've learned a little bit about what self-trust actually is and how it develops, let's talk about why ADHD sabotages self-trust. Alright, so early experiences lay the groundwork or lack thereof for self-trust, but why do adults with ADHD in particular have such a hard time with it, even after we know all of this? We're going to dig into that. This is where both neuroscience and psychology come into play. Don't worry, I'll keep it in English, not brain ease, like, Chinese, but brain ease. That was much funnier when I wrote it, not read it out. Okay. Anyways, first, brain stuff. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition, and our brains are literally wired differently. One big difference lies in those executive functions, those mental skills for planning, self-monitoring, impulse control, etc., managed by that prefrontal cortex right behind your forehead. For instance, self-awareness, also called metacognition, is an executive function that helps us reflect on our own behavior. Guess what? In ADHD folks, self-awareness tends to lag behind. It often doesn't fully mature until the late 20s. So if you spent your teens and early 20s kind of feeling clueless about why you do what you do or how to change, it's not a character flaw. It's literally your brain's timeline. Then there's our working memory and self-regulation circuits. They are also weaker, meaning that we struggle to keep future goals in mind and control impulses in the moment. And let's not forget our pal, dopamine, the neurotransmitter of reward and motivation. And in ADHD brains, it is often in short supply. When your brain's reward system is underpowered, it's hard for you to consistently follow through on tasks that aren't immediately interesting. So you end up breaking promises to yourself. You say, I said I'd clean the garage today. I'll do it tomorrow. Over time, that pattern of not following through can make you feel like, see, I never do what I say. I can't trust myself. Studies back this up. Adults with ADHD have been found to have significantly lower self-esteem and self-efficacy, which is basically your belief in your own abilities to succeed, that internal locus of evaluation, compared to adults without ADHD. That lower self-confidence isn't because we're doomed or incapable. It's a byproduct of our symptoms and the negative feedback loop that they create. Think about it. If 9 out of 10 times you intend to do something but your brain's executive function roadblocks get in the way, you're going to start doubting yourself. It's like Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown, like when he goes to kick it and then he totally falls over. Eventually, Charlie Brown is going to hesitate to try to even kick the ball. Now add the psychological layer. Living with ADHD often means accumulating a pile of negative experiences and messages about yourself. You miss deadlines, you get reprimanded, you forget birthdays, friends or family get upset, you blurt something out, someone looks hurt or annoyed. Each little incident can chip away at your trust in yourself. And over these years, many ADHDers develop what some experts call a failure narrative, or loss of internalized shame. You start to believe that you're fundamentally unreliable or bad at life, even though that's the furthest thing from the truth. From a late diagnosis perspective, it's especially pronounced in us late diagnosed folks. If you didn't know you had ADHD until adulthood, then you had no explanation for why you struggled, so likely you blamed yourself. As Healthline noted, undiagnosed adults often assume they're naturally just lazy, messy, or incapable. I know I did. I thought I was a uniquely defective human for not managing life as well as others. That self-blame sinks as it claws deep into self-trust. I mean, how can you trust yourself to take care of yourself when you've spent decades thinking you're fundamentally flawed? The moment of diagnosis can be freeing. Oh, there was a reason. But it doesn't instantly rebuild self-trust. That takes conscious work to undo the years of self-doubt. Because I'm telling you, did self-trust change my life? Yes. Was it the work I never knew I needed? Yes. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Did it take, just a week? Absolutely not. It took me probably 6 months to actually learn it and to implement it enough to where I actually believed it. It takes a long time and it's not easy, but let me tell you, it is so worth it. Another thing, because we don't trust ourselves, we tend to look at others for guidance on everything. Kristen Carter sees this a whole lot. She notes that instead of feeling grounded in ourselves like confident adults, ADHDers often look to others to gauge if we're doing okay. It's like we outsource our self-trust. Ever catch yourself constantly asking friends or family for their opinion on your decisions, or needing reassurance that you're not screwing up as a parent, employee, or friend? A lot of us live by the unspoken motto, if other people are happy with me, then I can be happy with myself. I've lived in that motto, and it turned me into a people pleaser who said yes to everything, even when I knew I shouldn't, just because I didn't trust my own judgment of what I could or couldn't handle. The irony is, relying on other people's approval further undermines your self-trust. It's like telling yourself that their opinion counts and yours doesn't. Over time, you feel like a stranger to your own inner voice. Sometimes, if people do this for long enough in their life, they don't even know who they are. Like, you ask them what their favorite color is, and they don't know. They literally lose parts of their identity because they constantly look outside themselves for external validation instead of validating themselves inside. Dr. Russell Ramsey, a leading ADHD psychologist, gave a really striking example of how this shows up. He said that many adults with ADHD walk around feeling permanently in debt to their relationships, like they owe people because of all their perceived failures. One of his clients would even admit that whenever he met somebody new, he immediately would think, how am I going to let this person down? Can you imagine? Before the friendship even started, he's already anticipating the inevitable disappointment he'd cause. That is self-trust hitting rock bottom. When you assume you'll fail others, of course you're going to delegate all trust to them and ask and keep none for yourself. You might let people walk all over you, or you might never speak up for what you need. Saying no may feel impossible because, you think I'm already just a screw up. I have no right to set boundaries. Don't worry, we'll get to why that's not true and how setting boundaries is actually a sign of growth and growing your self-trust. Now, let me bring in that fancy sounding thing I mentioned, internal family systems. It's a type of therapy that looks at the mind as made up of different parts, like subpersonalities. If you've never heard of IFS, you probably intuitively know what I mean. Part of me wants to do this, part of me wants to do that. According to IFS, we all have a core self, the calm, compassionate inner leader in us, and lots of parts that we try to protect, and lots of parts that try to protect us. For ADHD folks, some of these protective parts can get really, really loud. For example, an inner critic part might be constantly telling you you're going to mess this up, so why even try? It's harsh, but it's trying to preempt hurt by making you play small. Or a manager part might frantically organize and overplan every minute of your day because it doesn't trust that you're going to stay on track. Believe me, I've been there. IFS therapists have observed that ADHD can make it easy to feel overwhelmed by certain parts, leading us to feel stuck, ashamed, or out of control. In fact, being overwhelmed by these internal voices often results in low self-esteem and troubled relationships for ADHDers. So, the IFS part of this can be really frustrating, but the IFS approach to healing is really relevant to building self-trust. It's all about not shaming those parts of you, but listening to them and healing them through compassion. Instead of, say, hating the part of you that procrastinates, you gently get curious about why that part shows up. Maybe it's afraid of failure, so it avoids starting tasks. You learn to assure it, like, hey, I know you're trying to protect me. Thank you, but I, myself, have got this. Over time, as you build a stronger connection to your core self, those protective parts can chill out a bit. You become more self-led, more confident, more calm and clear. I think this is really similar to how I describe building relationships with people who don't have ADHD. Like if you're a person with ADHD trying to be friends with a person who doesn't have it, or you are the person who does not have ADHD and you're trying to be friends with somebody who does, approaching the things about those people, the parts of them, approaching them with curiosity instead of criticism and shame, it works the same way when you do it with yourself. I know, there's a lot of metacognition, but just think about it. If you're the person who is always like, oh, I hate the part of myself that makes it so hard to transition through tasks, or I hate the part of me that procrastinates, or I really, really cannot stand the part of me that cannot emotionally regulate. Instead of hating those parts, can we approach them with a little more curiosity, with a little bit more kindness? I mean, this is deep stuff, but I mention it because it is another lens on why we struggle with self-trust. Inside, our parts are in turmoil, each pulling at a different direction, and our self, the part that can trust and lead, is often not in the driver's seat. The goal of therapies like IFS therapy is to help you get back in that driver's seat by healing those inner relationships. Now, that was a lot. To sum up why ADHD adults often lack self-trusts in bullet points. Our brains have a built-in challenges like impaired executive functions, delayed self-awareness, dopamine issues that make consistency very difficult. and inconsistency erodes our trust. We collect negative messages and failures over time, especially when we're late diagnosed, leading to shame and the belief that we're unreliable. Our childhoods may have not given us the validation or autonomy needed to form a self-trust, and may have done the opposite through criticism or trauma. Psychologically, we become dependent on external validation because we don't trust our own judgment, creating a cycle of always questioning ourselves. And internally, we might feel at war with ourselves, thanks to those parts yelling at us rather than feeling like a cohesive, confident self. If you're nodding along to this, please hear me. You are not alone, and you are not broken beyond repair. This lack of self-trust is a very common ADHD experience. For the average ADHD adult, life feels very wobbly, as Carter says, and we often struggle greatly with the ability to trust ourselves. But, and this is a big but, wobbly doesn't mean doomed. The wonderful thing about being an adult is now you get to be the supportive caregiver to yourself that you may have never had. It sounds a little bit like reparenting that inner child, and that's exactly what it is. So let's turn the corner now and talk about how we're going to do this. Strategies for rebuilding self-trust. Yes, even when you have ADHD. All right, so let's get practical. Here are 7 self-trust strategies, a mix of mindset shifts and concrete practices to help start rebuilding self-trust. These are not overnight fixes. Think of each one as a small brick towards that solid foundation. Pick 1 or 2 that resonate and begin there. You can even begin with number 1, which is beginning with validation and journaling your experience with the guide I have for you down in the show notes. Set aside a few minutes to regularly jot down what you're feeling, wins, frustrations, doubts, etc. When you write down something like, I procrastinated on paying bills and feel stupid, follow it with compassion. I get that bills are like triggering to my anxiety, right? I get anxiety when I have to pay bills. This is not just a story. This is actually me. I'm feeling hot. But over time, you can teach your brain that your experience is real and valid, just as Kristen Carter suggests. You may even keep a self-trust journal where you list both challenges and moments that you did trust your gut. This consistent validation helps you believe in yourself more. Number 2. Forgive yourself and make amends for past failures. I know I have an episode on this, and it's about forgiving your past self, because we carry around so much guilt and regret. Practicing self-forgiveness by telling yourself, I forgive you for not knowing better when you were younger. You did your best with the tools you had, and you didn't even know you had ADHD. You could also write a forgiveness letter for a specific event. I've actually done this before, and it helps a lot. Then decide on a small self-amend. For example, commit to a gentle health habit and let go of the past mistakes, right? This letting go of those past mistakes affirms that you trust yourself. I trust myself to learn and grow rather than punish. Number 3, and this one's a little bit difficult, set boundaries and learn to say no. You have to trust yourself to protect you. Saying no feels scary, especially if you are a people pleaser. Ask me how I know. But it's a powerful act of self-trust. I will take care of you. Whether it's declining an extra project or enforcing a 10 p.m. social media cutoff, each boundary you set, whether it's internal or for other people, it says, I know my limits and I will respect them. At first, it might sting a little, but that little spark of pride, I stood up for myself, reinforces trust. Script simple phrases such as, I can't commit to that right now, or I have way too much on my plate. I can't take that on because I'd feel really, really bad if I'd have to cancel on the last minute. So when you're ready, it really counts. Come up with a few of these on your own to use in your life. Number 4, practice cognitive reframing. Talk to yourself like you're talking to a friend. Notice when your inner critic says, you always screw up. Pause and reframe it as if you were encouraging a friend. Sometimes we have to actually write down what our inner critic is saying and then reframe it. But this looks like, yes, I missed that deadline. It sucks, but I'll learn to manage my time better. I'm still learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm not perfect. Shifting from the harsh self-talk to fair, supportive language builds your brain's sense that I can handle setbacks and keep going over time. These kinder narratives over time and practice replace the old I'm a failure stories and beliefs. Number 5, use body doubling and external supports. Trust your systems. Accept that your brain sometimes needs help. Body doubling, working alongside someone in person or via video, can boost focus and follow through. When you complete a task with a double, like your brain learns, hey, I did it, that builds confidence. Likewise, rely on planners, alarms, apps, timers. These tools are not crutches. They're extensions of your brain, the thing that's internalized. We have to externalize time. We have to externalize a lot of things because we can't hold it all in our brain. We really can't. Each successful commitment reinforces by a system is another proof point that you can rely on you. Do the parts work, the IFS stuff that we talked about, becoming your own leader inside. Borrowing from the internal family systems, notice the different you voices, like a fearful part saying, don't apply for that job, you'll fail. Thank that part for trying to protect you. I hear it, you're worried. Then bring forward your calm, compassionate self. Even if it's scary, I'll figure it out. By acknowledging and reassuring those protective parts, you strengthen your internal leader self and reduce internal conflict. As your parts learn to trust you, you learn to trust you. Set yourself up, this is number 7, last but not least. Set yourself up for success with small wins. We often doubt ourselves because of a trail of broken promises. Flip that by making it ridiculously small commitments, like 5 minutes of exercise today, or tidy up one drawer. When you follow through, say, I did it, go me. Saying it out loud, or even saying like, I did it. Carmen, you're the best. Carmen, you're a boss. It builds trust, just like rebuilding trust with a friend by keeping tiny promises and gradually increasing the challenge. But undercommit at the same time, right? At first, you need to undercommit because at first, when you miss a day, pivot without drama. And I didn't say if you miss a day, I said when, because you will. When you miss a day, pivot without the drama, or try. I was exhausted today. I have done great the past 3 days, so I can try and adjust tomorrow. This demonstrates even when a plan shifts, I'll figure out a way forward, which is exactly what self-trust is all about. And it's really kind of built into that whole we need to use persistency instead of consistency when we talk about being, using things habitually, because consistency kind of gives off the vibe that we never can mess up. But being persistent means even if I fall down, I'll get back up again. My challenge for you is to try out a few of these strategies this week. Each small step is a brick in your foundation of self-trust, ultimately showing you that even with ADHD quirks, you have truly got your own back. There we go, the 7 strategies to self-trust. To quickly recap, validate yourself, forgive yourself for past oopsies, set boundaries to protect your energy, reframe your negative self-talk, use body doubles and external aids to support your follow-through, do inner parts or IFS work to align yourself, and make small promises to yourself that you can keep. Then celebrate those wins. I have created an active processing reflection guide included free in the show notes in case you forgot. Those have some journaling prompts that can help you get started. You might notice how these strategies echo the core idea of being on your own team. At first, it might feel super unnatural, especially if you've spent years internally at war, calling yourself lazy, stupid, untrustworthy. But I invite you to pick one strategy and try it out this week, even if it's just journaling one night or saying no to one thing. Pay attention to the shift in how you feel about yourself. That shift is the seed of self-trust taking root. As we come to the end of this episode, I want to leave you with some hope and a virtual hug if you're a huggy kind of person. Rebuilding self-trust when you have ADHD is absolutely possible. I know because I'm proof. I'm doing it bit by bit, and I've seen others do it too, and my clients have done it too. I'm telling you, though, it doesn't happen in a straight line. There will be days that you feel like you've made no progress, and days you catch yourself actually trusting your gut or following through on something, and you're like, who even am I? Celebrate those moments, okay? Remember, the growth mindset idea applies here. Your ability to trust yourself is not fixed. It's something you can develop with practice and time. Every time you stumble and then choose to treat yourself with kindness instead of judgment, you're growing. Every time that you make a small improvement in your routine or ask for the help that you need, you're growing. You're teaching that little hurt child inside of you, hey, you're safe with me now. I will never abandon you. I will never shame you. And we've got this. Let's validate one more thing. The ADHD experience can be really hard. It's okay that this is challenging for you. Of course it is. You've been navigating life on hard mode without the proper user manual for a really long time. And given that, the fact that you're here listening to a podcast about self-growth, trying to better yourself, that right there is evidence of your strength. In my book, in my, rules, that's evidence that you can trust yourself. Because look at the good choices that you're making right now. Especially if you went over to click on that self-reflection guide that I left you right when I said it. It means that you are ready to start trusting yourself. Sometimes we have to look at the big meta picture. You're taking initiative to help yourself right in this moment. That's self-trust in action, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. So as you walk away from this episode, I want you to feel encouraged. You might not go from self-doubting to self-trusting overnight. In fact, you won't, and that's okay. If that were to happen, it wouldn't be authentic anyway. But now you have some tools and a clear understanding of what self-trust is, and that it's not about never failing. It's about knowing you'll be okay even if you do. You will figure out how to move forward no matter what. Keep that quote handy if it helps. I will take care of myself in this process. I will figure out how to move forward no matter what. And say that to yourself when you need it. Put it on your phone background or computer background so it's there all the time. Do whatever you need to do to help yourself continue to build the self-trust. Thank you for spending this time with me. I know my episodes have been a little bit longer lately, but I want to include all of the things that I've learned. And thank you for being honest with yourself about something that so many people struggle with, whether they have ADHD or not. If you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone else who might need a little self-trust boost. Or if you think that, you have been helped by this and a lot of other people need help with this, share it out to the socials. And I love to hear about what you thought. Message me or tag me in the story at authenticallyadhd_podcast. Send me a message, leave a comment on a post. We're all in this together, learning to trust ourselves one day at a time. Stay authentic, stay compassionate with yourself, and remember, you have survived every bad day and okay, that was going to come out really smooth, but let's try again. Remember, you have survived every bad day and navigated every twist and turn of life so far. That's proof that you're far more capable than you often give yourself credit for. You've got you, and I've got faith in you too. That is all I have for now, my friends. Until next time, stay authentic, and we will talk soon.